Hey gang, this is TJ with PixarPost.com, and we can't wait to show you some of these Jakks Pacific Junior Super Series. Not only are there 2-packs that have some of the actual figures, including the awesome Screen Slaver and a couple others that are out there, but we're also going to show you the Hydroliner playset, which also contains an Easter egg from the film. Stay tuned. All right, normally I would talk about the playsets first, but I actually want to talk about this Hydroliner playset because I'm super excited about it. Not only does it come with an exclusive Mrs. Incredible character where her feet are actually like a blue color, like they're actually in the water, but it actually has where it can shoot projectiles. It has a fold-out ice slide. There's a watercraft launcher. And then a grabbing arm. I actually like some of the other details they did on the packaging. Like you can see the cardboard there is cut and lifted up so it stands up in the box there. It's kind of neat. If you don't want to talk about the Easter egg that I was mentioning, then go ahead and skip forward a minute or two because I'm going to show that in about 5 seconds. But this is a really cool playset. It should be noted that it does say that you don't use this in water at all. Although it's a boat and you might think it's a water toy, it's actually not. All right, so what about that Easter egg? I started looking at this and what did I notice? But the A113 reference. So it's California A113-IN, like the boat registration number, but it includes an A113. How cool is that? So it's one of the other reasons I knew I had to get this as a playset. Actually, just before we do that, I wanted to actually show the back of it as well. So there's a couple things here. So there's a rotating cooling chamber. There is a trap door. It has wheels on it as well. So where's the launcher that comes out for her watercraft. And then there's a couple other playsets as well, which is the Underminer's Tunneler playset, Incredible and Mr. Incredible and Mr. Incredible, and then the Elasticycle and Elastigirl. And a pretty cool little story point that's obviously out there too is that it has a sidecar. It's a pretty small sidecar that's neat too. All right, let's look at these in a little bit more detail. The one on the very left is the Mrs. Incredible with the eyes that looks like she might be hypnotized at some level. Look at that. That's interesting. The next 2-pack is Screen Slaver as well as Mrs. Incredible in her new super suit. Very cool detailing there on Screen Slaver. The next one is another Mrs. Incredible as well as Dash, and then you get Jack and Mr. Incredible, and then finally Frozone and Violet. A very cool line. The only, if you buy the other play sets that are out there, you get another Mrs. Incredible in the Elasticycle, and then another Mr. Incredible in the Incredicar. The only other one that's out there currently is the Underminer, which is also a very cool playset as well. All right, so now that I have the boat out of the box, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look at it. You'll notice that the Incredibles logo is definitely all over this for the Hydroliner, and it makes me think, there's something on here as well, which I'll show you in a minute, which kind of shows, I think, a little bit of foreshadowing. But I'm going to start from the top and go down for all the different features that it has. So the first thing up top, you can see that there's a lot of room in the decking area here where it's yellow and actually looks like it's an actual like wood deck, which is kind of cool. So the first thing is it has a little bit of like a cannon, and it comes with 2 projectiles that you can load in and blast off whenever Mr. Incredible sees who he should be firing at. So that's kind of neat. It also comes with on the back a spot that you can replace a life raft, which is kind of nice, so you can stick that on there to store it. The one thing I definitely noticed throughout this as well is how it's designed and laid out is actually really neat as far as all the different storage and compartments and things like that. So, okay, so on the top there's those 2 areas. I'll take Mr. Incredible down, or he'll take himself down there. I also want to show the steering wheel. So it actually does have, it's kind of tough with the angle, but it does have a working steering wheel, so you'd be able to put somebody there to stand up and see that. Now this is the part that I feel like has a little bit of foreshadowing here. There's this spinning, it's called a cooling chamber, and I just keep asking myself, what is this and why? Let me pull it into frame here a little more. And what, it looks like the Screen Slaver's eyes a little bit, doesn't it? How he's got the goggles there. I feel like since this is their boat with the logo, that this is like, maybe it was given to him by the Screen Slaver at some level. But yeah, it's this door that opens up, and you can put a character in there and kind of close them in. So I don't know what the cooling chamber is for, but that'll be interesting to see what that is. It also has this grabbing arm, which is cool because you can actually extend it out and then go down into like the water and grab things out, which is cool. One of my favorite parts, I'm going to open up this door here. One of my favorite parts is actually that there's a little trap door. So let's just say you've got Frozone up here and he's hanging out, and next thing you know, he's falling down into the bottom. So that's another cool feature. This side actually opens up as well, so that way you can have easier access to get your characters into the cooling chamber, and then also to the front steering wheel there. But in the bottom itself, there is, like I said, this is almost like it's like a little bit of a trapdoor to hold people in there, and then this is where that other trapdoor closes there. The rudders on the back here that you can move as you're driving around. But the bottom area has a loading air space for Mrs. Incredible's watercraft that she has. So you can actually load this in here, and you can see it kind of has tracks that are in the bottom there, and you push it through, and on the other side, I'll show you what that looks like. You can open this up, and you'd be able to push it through and have this come out and go into your pretend water. So that's a nice feature that they have there. It's kind of fun. One of the ones that I think is really, really neat too. This is such a cool play set. I think honestly, I'm gonna have a lot of good playtime with my son on this one. One of the ones that's pretty neat too is in the front. You can open this up, and then a frozen, like an ice slide, comes down here. So even though Frozone is trapped in here, he could shoot his way out and go into the water. So that's kind of neat that it has that as well. So you can fold that up and it just closes like such. So that's kind of a fun thing as well. I'll show you the bottom with the wheels and show how they're definitely they're a little tacky, so that gives it that nice rubberized feel. I feel like it's a really well-built play set. I feel like there's a lot of options and fun things that you can do with it. There's detailing. If this were down, you can kind of see it up here, that there's a fire extinguisher, a clock, and a hose. On the other side, there's some binoculars, a speaker. So they've really done a really nice job, Jakks Pacific has, at this play set. I feel like of the ones available, this is definitely the most involved as far as the detailing on it and everything like that. So let's go ahead and put all the characters on and get a final shot at it. But again, there's that A113. Your first look at A113 and Incredibles 2. Very cool. All right, so let's get one final look at this awesome Hydroliner playset with the characters on the boat. I think there's some really neat things here. We got, again, Frozone on his ice slide that comes out of the front of the boat. Mr. Incredible up at the front. I should also note that the arms and legs of the characters do move, as well as their heads swivel from side to side. We got Mrs. Incredible driving the boat here. A different version of Mrs. Incredible with Jack up top, ready to shoot that projectile out. You got Dash on top. And here's that, as I was talking about, some of a little bit of a foreshadowing for the design of that cooling chamber. You got Mrs. Incredible in her watercraft that actually has wheels on the bottom of it and move as well. There's the life raft in the water, and then you've got Violet out here. I put her in the grab arm. So, and then it's just a really cool play set. I definitely can't say enough fun things about it, and I think there's going to be a lot of fun times had at our house with this. So I would absolutely say pick this thing up for not only the sheer size, but the details and all the elements that you can do with this playset. Also a cool place to store all the characters. I certainly hope they come out with more of them. I would love if they had more of the Junior Supers in the new line. Some of the other superheroes like Electrix and Brick and those types of things. Maybe after the film comes out, we'll get some more. But in the meantime, stay tuned to PixarPost.com all week for the latest Pixar news. Bye-bye.